Please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce the current and future State Senator for Orange County, Mike Martucci.
Thank you, Under Sheriff Jones. Good evening and welcome, everyone. It is my esteemed pleasure to kick off this evening by welcoming you all to the 2022 State of the County Address here in our home, beautiful Orange County, New York. For the past year and a half, I've had the pleasure of being the state senator representing portions of Orange County, and I've had the opportunity to work with the amazing professionals here in Orange County government. And during the past year and a half, I've met a lot of great people and wanted to pause for a moment to call out several leaders who are with us here tonight, part of the leadership team in Orange County, who really have been dedicated and focused on making sure we serve the people of this county in a professional way. Today I had an opportunity to spend some time with District Attorney Dave Hoovler, learning about the new technologies in his office and the great work that they're doing leading on public safety. The great work of Sheriff Carl Du Bois, who is retiring this year, Under Sheriff Ken Jones, who's with us here tonight representing the Sheriff's Department, their professionalism. The Sheriff's Department in this county is one of the most accredited in the country, and that great work is a testament to the amazing work our sheriff has been doing there for the past 2 decades. Newly elected County Clerk Kelly Eskew, who has been focused on bringing new technology and customer service to our county clerk's office. And certainly with us here in the room and with many of her colleagues from the legislature, legislative chairwoman Katie Bonelli, and the many members of the legislature who are here who serve as partners in government, most importantly, the voices of the communities in Orange County here in the county seat. As you will learn this evening, the state of the county is very strong. This county is in a much better place than it was several years ago, and our future looks bright for a number of reasons. Fiscally, this county is sound, and its position fiscally continues to improve, which you will soon see. The county's made significant progress in protecting open space and building out some of the beautiful tourism attractions throughout the county. Businesses are competing to come here to Orange County, and for many of these reasons and many others you'll hear tonight, our future is indeed bright. This success has come not by accident, but as a result of great leadership and great work of everyone who works at Orange County and the leadership of one man who I'm here to introduce to you tonight. Someone who's no stranger to all of us, County Executive Steve Newhouse has served as the County Executive of Orange County now for the past 9 years. Steve, as we all know, wears many hats, and over the past several years has ably guided our county through COVID, has helped guide a resurgence and the flourishing of our businesses in this community. Steve wears many, many hats. He's a father to 4, as we all know. His kids are a big part of his life, and certainly the title I know that he cherishes the most is Dad. And I would tell you that certainly not missed of all of us is, besides his incredible service to our county, Steve also proudly serves our country as a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy. Steve recently returned from a deployment, an overseas deployment, and it really is amazing to me and amazing to so many that despite being literally a world away, Steve has his finger on the pulse of everything that's happening in this county every day. So for those reasons and many more, I am excited to introduce my friend and colleague and your county executive, Steve Newhouse.
Good evening. My kids both they have a baseball game and a softball game, and I decided to. Am I doing okay? Okay. Decided to play in the backyard with them before they left, and unfortunately time got away from me. And then one of my county legislators called me and said, "Hey, can you add me to the slide?" And I think we did. So let's get going. I apologize for starting tardy. First, I want to thank Under Sheriff Jones. We've worked together my whole career here, and the Sheriff's Office is front and center, part of our solutions. Of course, I see my colleagues, Dave Hoovler, Kelly Eskew, front and center, and Mike Martucci. I don't think there's any state elected official that I've worked closer with. Congressman, state elected official. He's a good friend of mine, sounding board, and thank you for those kind words, Mike. I don't know where the heck you went, but thank you. Oh, you're in the back. Thank you. So let's get to it. State of the County Address, 2022. Finances. We can't talk about anything with county without finances. That's what makes our budget, how we pay the bills, right? You saw this from our budget slides, but I have to bring it up. Here's our budget, $827 million. Most of our, the biggest portion that pays that 827 nest egg is sales tax. Then it goes to charges and fees, then property tax. And I'll get to why that's important. State and federal aid obviously are part of it as well. Where does the money go? Predominantly, the biggest portion is DSS. Then you go into health and mental health. You have the public safety, OEM, sheriff, DA, and then it breaks off into other parks, DPW, and other parts of government. So let's talk about sales tax. So our sales tax is the biggest chunk that pays for our budget. That's not the same thing in every county. A lot of other counties predominantly balance their budget on property taxes. So it's a lot less of a burden to us as taxpayers when you have to balance it with sales tax as opposed to property taxes. So last year alone, we gave $92 million to towns, villages, and cities in the county. I was a former town supervisor. Used to love getting these checks. And that's why it matters. 43 towns, villages, and cities all share in this. Property tax rates which, working with the legislature, Republican and Democrat, I think we had a unanimous budget again last year. Our rate was 3.9% when we came in 2014. Many of the legislators came in the same time as me back in the day. 3.6% last year, 3.4%. So we're continuing to lower the property tax rate 6 years in a row. Here's what it looks like, 11.5% over 2014, since 2014. County debt. This is anybody, whether you're in government or business, this is reminiscent to your personal, like your household, how you run your household. Do you have less debt? Are you paying down your mortgage? Are you balancing everything out with all your other expenses? So in the county, we've built the government center, invested in all sorts of infrastructure, dealt with this complete nightmare of the COVID world for 2 years, still managed to cut our debt by $12 million. Unassigned fund balance. This is our rainy day fund. Whoa, look how big that is. $118 million. We had $21 million or $25 million when I came in here in 14, and it's went up and down depending on the economy, but we have $118 million. A lot of money, right? They tell you to keep between 7 and 10 or 15% of your fund balance, depending on who you ask for a rainy day fund. We're going to get into that in a second. Our fund balance continues to grow, $21 million it was when we came in, like I said in the beginning, end of 13, beginning of 14. Then it went to 118 where we are now. Why is that important? We used to, and we still do, and a lot of counties use the fund balance to fill in the gap when you balance your budget at the end of the year. So we used $39.9 million when we took office, about $40 million. We used about $10 million to fund this fund balance to fund this budget. And we're using less. And we might not have to even use that much by the time the end of the year comes because the economy is doing well. But it's a balanced budget. Why we have that big the rainy day fund, over $100 million. Why are we not spending it, giving it back? Because we have this looming. We have interest rates that are going through the roof, inflation, war in Ukraine. You see the gas prices, the pain at the pump, natural gas, oil, and grain are all impacted by the war in Ukraine. There's a lot of uncertainty for our economy right now. Hotel Motel Tax. Amanda, you're going to love this part. This is for you. $5.1 million came in last year for hotel motels in Orange County. These are people going to weddings, tourism, Legoland is a big chunk of this, a lot of other places in Orange County. This year we budgeted $4.2 million because we weren't sure. Was it a bump right after COVID? Or, how is this year going to be? Because we had a kind of a rough start. So we budgeted $4.2 million. But for tourism, we spend $1.1 million a year. This is double than from 8 years ago. But it's only $1.1 million. But $5 million came in based on pretty much tourism, economic development, right? So here's what my proposal is. This is where I think we can do more. I think we can spend, and this is just an initial number. The legislature and I can work on this. Let's do a campaign, spring, summer, fall, winter. Let's highlight local Orange County businesses, downtown Middletown, Mike Paduch, downtown Chester, Glenn Ellers. Let's start focusing festivals, Apple Fest, all these things. In maybe the ski center in Mount Peter, anything, all these different things. Let's spend $250,000 every quarter just to start. If you want to up that, let's do it. And let's start highlighting these small businesses and continue to grow that revenue from hotel, motel tax, sales tax, downtown Montgomery. I didn't forget you, Steve Brescia. I see you there. You look grouchy. So I'm going to give the legislature an initial $250,000 budget request now so we could start working on this fall. So let's do this. Back to work. Employment and training. Steve Knobs in the audience. It was completely nuts the last 2 years. People had to work at home, quarantine, don't come back to work. If you come back to work, wrap yourself in cellophane, all sorts of nightmare. So we had to get creative to retrain the public. YouTube videos, how to do an interview. When's the last time a lot of people did a job interview, did a resume, had dressed for a job interview? So we addressed over 4,000 unemployment requests, 1,000 career center requests. We did all sorts of, we're still doing job fairs, both in person and virtual. Why does it matter? I'm not trying to criticize the state because we were living in a nightmare, but the state employment offices were closed. Where the heck do people go for help when they lose their job? We had normal people that have never been on any type of social services ask for food to feed their family, ask for assistance. We had businesses asking for PPP loans to keep their payroll going, to keep their rent paid so they didn't have to lose things or they were worried about losing stuff. All sorts of stuff. This is just one snapshot of what we did together. Unemployment, just to show you where we are today, 17%. I mean, 1 out of 5 people or families were unemployed back in the day. This is a year and a half ago. 5.1% a year ago, 3% now, which we kind of say is virtually unemployed. Everybody that wants to be employed has a job right now. The unemployment rate for the state is 4.5%. So we added 6,000 jobs since last year. Why does that matter? Because the job market's changing. People are working from home. The industries are completely changing overnight. I spoke at 3 graduations, college graduations last week. They say that a graduate today will have 3 completely different careers in their lifetime. That's how fast technology is changing. Stewart Airport, Mike Torelli's here. He's the main guy there. I don't care what the title is. He is the main man. If you want to know about Stewart Airport, he knows about it. He's front and center, doing a great job there. Frontier, which I flew this year with my family, wonderful airline, does a great service. Orlando, Tampa, adding 2 new destinations, Atlanta and Raleigh, 2 big hubs if you want to go somewhere else. Play Airline is going to be starting to fly across the pond, if you will, across to Europe, starting next month, with 22 connections, including London, Paris, Dublin, and Copenhagen. And then Allegiant, which I think my parents personally have kept in business, has never stopped flights out of Stewart, even despite during the pandemic. They've done a great job. So we're really appreciative. The economy's been tough on the airline industry, and we're looking optimistic of where we are at Stewart. DPW Projects. I came in late, so Eric, I don't even know if you're here. Bank Street and Travis. Bank Street, bridge replacement, all these different bridges. I think they're sexy. Lake Street, Lake Horton Bridge, Otisville Viaduct, bridge repairs. We have a ton of them. The one in Camp LaGuardia right on Great Court Road, right by the Heritage Trail, Salisbury Mills Bridge on County Route 27, which is over Moona Creek in Washingtonville, and the Cheechunk Bridge in Walk Hill, over into town of Walk Hill, over to Walk Hill River. These are good. Our infrastructure is good. We take care of it. We invest in it. So we usually pave 18 miles of road this year. I said up it. Let's do 26 miles. We're planning on doing that this year. We have more money. Let's spend our money wisely and put it back into infrastructure. So with that, I am putting another legislative request for $14 million in additional infrastructure parks money. This isn't the Steve Newhouse plan. We have awesome department heads in the county. I asked the Department of Public Works and the Department of Parks to come up with a plan for me and the legislature highlighting projects that are on the back burner that we're going to borrow for money for in the future. Let's do it now with the extra cash we have. We've given the taxpayers a tax cut. Now let's reinvest in our infrastructure. Highway improvements, American with Disability Act. Yes, there are still buildings, there are still parks around the county that we can do better on to make them more accessible to people with disabilities. Replace and update playgrounds. Guess what? We can replace playgrounds with better stuff, even that are more accessible to people with disabilities. purchase maintenance equipment for our Parks Department, adding a pavilion at the Arboretum, which, by the way, I got married at 15 years ago tomorrow. Upgrade our bridges over to Heritage Trail for maintenance emergency service. So what does that mean? We have now about 20 miles of Heritage Trail paved that our people are using one way or another. We have bridges on it. They look great. What's the problem, Steve? Here's the problem. If there's an emergency, many of the bridges, you can't get a police vehicle or emergency vehicle over. It also becomes a burden for our Parks Department for maintaining. We can get some bigger equipment on there, so we're going to beef those bridges up. That is being sent to the legislature. Again, not the Steve Newhouse plan. This is from our professionals that work for us, and this is what they recommend to us. It's a whole litany of things. I will say that the chairwoman of the legislature, Katie Bonelli, and Tom Fagione have been working on this as well. New medical examiner. We've been talking about it, so I'm going to fly through this. We have $17 million of our American Rescue Plan allocated to it. Our medical examiner's office is woefully inadequate, and we've been talking about this for probably before I took office. We're now addressing it. It's supposed to be breaking ground this year, be done by the end of next year. It's going to be something we're going to be proud of. It's going to be something that's functional, and I think it's going to be something that people around the state and country come to look at, just like this building. Now, 311 Crisis Center. It went live in 19. You see the numbers, 36,000 calls in 2020. 2021, 46,000 calls. So what the heck is this? Behind this wall, many of you know, is our 911 dispatchers handling emergency calls right now. Embedded with them are 311 professionals. They're operators. They're taking calls for non-emergency, but sometimes they could be transferred over to emergency with all different types of questions: mental health, rental assistance, text for teens, substance abuse overdose outreach, rape crisis, people asking for questions. They're not sure of it. I think my kid might be on drugs. What the heck do I do? I don't know. I'm like most parents. There's no book for this. Developmental disabilities, references, referrals. So why does this matter? And I'm going to get into a little bit of other stuff in a second, but we invest, the county taxpayers, $700,000 for this. And this is available right now. The last 24 hours, phone has been flooded, not only with law enforcement, but with parents, scared, crying. Are their kids safe? What the heck is going on in the world? I think I'm too stressed out. I don't know who to talk to. Call 311. It's anonymous. They'll get you help, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter what your problem is. If you're worried about your neighbor, if you're worried about yourself, doesn't matter. This is something that we should all put out. Get it out, 311. You have a problem, you need somebody to talk to, you're not sure about it, you don't know what the heck, if your kids are on something, find out, call 311, they will get you to help. Super proud of this project. 46,000 calls last year, 26% increase from the year prior. Text for teens, this is for teens to use. They're not sure what the heck's going on. Here's two testimonials. One is when my older daughter was about 15, her friend was making a lot of comments that indicated she was very sad all the time and she was taking her father's sleeping pills. Hello, big problem. Not only did the Text for Teens line help her craft language on how to tell her friend that she was concerned that there was help, they also followed up with a couple other times to find out how the conversation went. The next one, my child woke up in the middle of the night because they could not sleep because a friend had shared some feelings and thoughts that made them worry about safety. My child used Text for Teens to reach out to the call center in the middle of the night. The call center collected information and agreed that this youth could be at risk. They helped and arranged for a well check with the state police. I mean, this is what matters. You want to fix the problems that happened in the last 24 hours, these are the type of things we can do. Dave Hoover and I go to, what's the conference that we go to with the Delesios? What's it called? Putting you on the spot. Breaking the cycle. Parents, if they knew about this, if their kids that had committed suicide, had passed away, knew about these programs, had Text for Teens, this could make a difference. So we work very closely with law enforcement. Crisis intervention training. So we watch what's going on. We see the changing in law enforcement over the last couple of years. So the collaboration between Mental Health and Police Chiefs Association, teaching officers, to assist residents in crisis, affords immediate access for appropriate services, PDs. So what does all this mean? So when our law enforcement respond to a call, like let's say an EDP, emotionally disturbed person, they have resources to help them there. if a law enforcement officer responds to one of those calls and files a report, the folks that were affected will be followed up with somebody from mental health. They're not falling through the cracks. These are great programs that our county departments, I'm proud of all our departments, this is at leading edge. Our police academy, 26 hours of mental health training. So they do de-escalation tactics. So if somebody has some type of disorder, rather than immediately respond with force, let's respond with de-escalation. How can we de-escalate this situation and get it and bring down the temperature, get this individual assistance? I think these are leading in those industries. Opioid settlements, the counties, including Orange County, legislature backed me up on this. The Association of NYSAC, New York State, as well as led by the County Execs of America, started these lawsuits. Every DA, every attorney general in the country jumped on it when they thought it was going somewhere. So the settlements are going to be providing tens of millions of dollars to this county as well as other counties around the country. What are we doing with the money? It's going to be directed in three ways. This is what the judges determined. It's going to be fighting opioid abuse, prevention, and treatment. Here's just some basic numbers. I think they're higher. I think Dave Hoovler thinks they're higher, but here's what we have. 97 fatal overdoses in 19, 121 in 2020, 131 in 2021, of which 122 involved fentanyl. CDC said there's a 28% increase in 2020 to 2021 in deaths. We had an 8% increase. Whatever the increase is, we all agree it's too much. So we have an opioid steering committee led by Darcy Miller and professionals that are going to be advising the elected officials, the legislature and I, on how best way to spend the money. Not on a plan that'll sit on the shelf, but stuff that will actually implement and help people. So let me just hit on one other thing. So a couple other things that we could do with this. So we're going to expand treatment. We had, is Barry Cheney here? Barry Cheney and I, in the last 48 hours, have been on a phone chain with Darcy Miller, helping people, a father in Orange County, trying to get his son into a rehab center. This is real stuff, and I know it impacts a lot of people in this room. So we'll expand treatment and support systems. We will provide prevention and awareness training. Obviously, that's the best way to try to stop it before it happens. And we're going to also continue to partnership with some of these marriages. Like I think a couple of people in the audience are big proponents of Hope Not Handcuff. I know the DA is. Legislature, big proponents of it, as well as recovery housing and transitioning housings. The photo on there, like what the hell, what is that? That is obviously U.S. Penny. Next to it is the amount of fentanyl required to kill a human being. That's how small. Keeping seniors connected. Seniors were completely decimated during the pandemic. Obviously, highest at risk. They had to pretty much go into hibernation. So all sorts of issues were related to that. Delivering 1,000 meals a day, our Office of the Aging were doing. All sorts of stuff had to be done digitally and virtually for elderly, which was a little challenging. Support groups, health insurance, caregiving, nutrition, elder abuse awareness, fraud, even how to file their taxes. Average 800 calls a day. Then they even had a friendly visitor to try to help them from being lonely, especially single elderly adults. And now we're restarting. This is a senior luncheon a couple weeks ago I was able to attend, as well as the senior games, which will start. These are all good things basically coming out of the hibernation after what we've been through the last couple of years. Community outreach, our new clerk, Kelly Eskew, is doing a phenomenal job. She was a deputy clerk last year's show. 230,000 residents were serviced last year. 20 million people and mortgage tax was collected. She basically put life into the Veterans Favor Program. What is that? So it kind of fell off the wayside for a while. Basically, 6,500 veterans in Orange County are signed up to this program. 350 businesses are participants that give them discounts. It's a nice thing to return the favor. We're also, big thing with their office is partner with the organ donation group. They're always at the naturalization ceremonies and developing a mobile community outreach vehicle. This has been talked about for a long time. Kelly and I talked about it this morning. The only thing stopping us from starting that last bullet right now is this national crisis in getting vehicles. Once we get this vehicle, she's going to have this thing fired up in operation, and it'll be in your town, village, and city. District Attorney. Obviously, he looks a little bit older than we first did this, but he's still rocking it and doing well. Huge backlog in cases. The courts shut down. During the COVID crisis, there was a law enforcement crisis. So over the last year, he's been clearing thousands of cases, of backlog cases, aggressive gun prosecution, as you see, data-driven technology, a whole new approach, and obviously relentless narcotics enforcement and actions and prosecution. So Dave, thank you, and Kelly. Veterans, big stuff. I know Christian Farrell's here. I think he's here. Are you here, Christian? Sorry. I got here late, I apologize. I'm a little disjuntled now. So from 2019 to 21, $3.5 million in benefit claims were concerned. You would be surprised the amount of things that veterans are entitled to, they go without getting it, including homeless people. Tom Fagione remembers this, when we could get them the money that they're entitled to. Compensation, disability money, pension claims, burial claims, education, healthcare benefits. Vietnam veteran with $300,000 in retroactive for Agent Orange exposure. 55 veterans a month, 25% increase. It's a lot of paperwork, as you can imagine. It's the federal government. 20 veteran families per month with survivor benefits. Our cemetery is so busy right now, I think we're doing 40 burials a month. We will run out of space in 6 months. So with DPW and the Veteran Services Agency, they're in hot pursuit to do another major expansion to open up another parcel of land so we can not have any disruptions in burials. Continue to fight for Castle Point. That was put into jeopardy when I deployed in March. All of a sudden I heard that was closing. Everybody's fighting to keep it open. We have a ton of veterans that still live here. The number's going up, so we don't want to see any reduction in services. We had a spring picnic and resource fair 2 weeks ago. It's not just a picnic with hot dogs and hamburgers. It is a resource fair. The VA's there, the hospitals are there, all these different organizations to help veterans. It was a wonderful event, and it was well attended. And we're doing the movie nights for veterans. So we're going to do 2 movies, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. This one happens to be Top Gun. And I always bring in a speaker. We also offer resources. Ed Magrita, our Director of Aviation, Airport Commissioner, whatever the title is, sorry, Ed, who is a retired commander, pilot in the Navy, is going to give a little spiel in the beginning of the movie, and we're also going to be there to offer them services. I think, Tony Cardone, you're hosting us again, which is great. Recent mass shootings, 24 hours, phone's been, obviously it's on everybody's mind. So what do we know? We have 213 mass shootings this year alone, 27 of them in schools. Mental health services, say something, see something, and no action from Washington. What does this all mean? So everybody, and the DA and I spent a lot of time on this together today, talking about it. Every one of these incidents, and the sheriff's office is front and center, the SOG unit is specialized, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Every one of these incidents, people know something, posted on Facebook, said something, had incidents, and it hasn't been stopped. We had a see something, say something. We saw the incident up in upstate New York 2 weeks ago. Everybody knew this guy was squirrely, was planning on doing these things. If you reported it, would it even matter right now with the laws that are on the books? If you reported that your neighbor was intending to do things or made threats to minorities or was going to do something live, do the laws on the books allow the law enforcement to even really do anything? Stopping a well visit? Nah, I was just joking online, and they end up doing it. Washington's got to get serious with this. And it's not a Republican or a Democrat issue. Majority of Americans want them to do some change. Nothing has changed since Sandy Hook. Nothing has changed since Parkland. And now we have another mass shooting, and there was many more before it. What have we done in Orange County? When we had the Parkland shootings in 2018, I asked the Police Advisory Board to come up with recommendations. Number 1 recommendation, I'm not a cop. Never been a cop. Don't have any cops in my family. I know one thing, as a parent. When my kids got on the bus this morning, I felt comfortable because I know my schools have armed police officers in the schools. Sorry. You can tell me that you've done all the mental health checks on everybody in society, my school is going to be safe, and everybody's trained, the kids know how to hide under desks or jump out of windows. The thing that makes me feel comfortable is that somebody is going to be between them and the shooter. That's one thing. That's me personally. That's also what the board recommended. The schools around Orange County, most of them, if not all of them, have done both public and private security, basically evaluation analysis. State police does it. Sheriff's office does a great job at it. And your local towns and villages do the same thing. Oh, I think I screwed this up. Okay. Here's our SOG team. They do these trainings all over the place. Hospitals, synagogues, you name it, churches, whatever you want, tourist sites, places. We've had stores ask for it. They're doing another one next Tuesday. So I tell you see my podcast, if people are anxious, you don't know what to do, you don't want to be a victim, come to this thing, they'll give you some options. Pandemic, I can't get through this speech without doing a pandemic because I haven't done one of these, right, which to your probably pleasure over the last 2 years because of the pandemic. So I got to talk about what we've done. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare of uncertainty. Nobody knew exactly what was going on in the state, federal government. There was miscommunication, conflicting things. It was an uncharted, unprecedented thing in our lifetime. So the county, all departments, healthcare, emergency management, everybody stepped up. We were having daily calls with hospitals, daily calls with health care providers, businesses, you name it. Obviously, you know, we distributed PPE to businesses, schools, hospitals, nursing homes, residents, just to keep them afloat. Administered 92,000 doses of the vaccine with our health department and the medical reserve, 125,000 test kits before Christmas this year and into the new year, which were the big commodities. And they're continuing to collaborate to make sure that the numbers aren't getting ahead of us, which in the last couple of days they've seemed to have gone down. First responders, a crisis in New York State, ambulances. And again, this is not beating up New York, but they have to be part of the solution. Right now, EMS volunteers are not designated as essential services. How the hell is that possible? How is that not possible? How are they not essential services? It's because it costs money. I know the senator, one of the reasons why I have him here is he introduced legislation as part of a sponsor that will make them this. It's being blocked by New York City. They don't have this problem. They have FDNY. They already have this. They don't need to worry about this. It's an upstate problem. But it's a serious, critical crisis that is emerging across the state. When I was the last Association of Towns meeting, it was the main issue there. Tony Cardone knows this. So does Brendan Casey. So here's some of the things that are hurting it. New York State expanded Medicaid benefits to more people this year. Medicaid pays ambulance corps a fraction, and also private companies that provide ambulance service. They only provide them with a fraction of the reimbursement. So it's literally bankrupting ambulance corps. If the state just said, here, we'll pay you what the bill is, or we'll pay you what other private providers would, it would help the situation. The other thing, volunteer firefighters and ambulance, they need more. And again, I'm not running for Senate or Assembly or Congress, but volunteer firefighters and ambulance get paid $100 or $200 as like a rebate every year. That is pennies for the amount of training, responsibility, and cost savings that we get for what they do. I think we should see a major, especially since we're flush with cash in Albany, and I'm willing to be part of this solution with them. Give them $4,000 or $5,000. Make it worth their while to do this. So what has happened in Orange County and what has happened throughout the state, local towns and communities created a taxing district, ambulance taxing district. Blooming Grove, I think, was one of the first. I remember back in the day. New Windsor just took over Cornwall, and Newburgh has one that is flourishing. In the meantime, put this all aside. CPR, basic CPR. I've flown 12 times since January. 2 of the flights I went on, you had that call. Bing, is there a doctor on board? Okay. Next thing, 30 seconds later, bing, is there any type of nurse or healthcare provider on board? 30 seconds later, bing, does anybody know anything about healthcare? We have a healthcare emergency. Myself and an Army medic were the only 2 out of 200 people to help this guy. And believe me, you do not want me helping you with any medical stuff. My dad will vouch for you on that. I've taken combat life-saving, but it's basically to keep you alive till somebody knows what they're doing comes. It's happened another time, same situation. So what I want to do and what we're going to do is the county, and it's going to be through the emergency services and the health department, we're going to be giving free CPR classes around the county. How's it going to work? Tony, I'm going to pick on you. Tony Cardone is in Monroe. We'll come to your town hall, host us next month. Oh, your Monroe Ambulance Corps does it. We don't want to step on our toes. No problem. Steve Brescia, we'll come to your village. You tell us to come to the senior center. We'll do free CPR. We'll go all over the county. This is life-saving stuff. When I was a volunteer firefighter in Monroe, I showed up on Christmas Day. The mother was laying under the Christmas tree. The family was standing around. Nobody knew how to do CPR. They knew this, they would have saved their life, or at least could have tried. This is critical, easy stuff to help people. Economic development, let's change gears. Steve Gross, I put in charge of this for one reason. I need him to cut through the red tape. I need him to help me get the county back onto a reasonable approval review process. He's working, he's helping with the health department, the planning department, and DPW, which are critical to projects coming here. We don't want them to gun deck or just approve projects, but we want that approval process to be in a reasonable period of time, which I think is 30 days or less. And that's a combination of having the staff and the expertise to get it done and having the momentum. And that's why Steve is working with Dr. Gelman and Alan Sorensen and Eric Denega to get on par with that. We're going to do an economic development summit coming up soon. The Office of Planning is going to come up with a strategic development plan, which is going to have other departments involved and, of course, the legislature. And then we're going to do a career day. On Monday, I spent some time with Paul Nebraski. Plumbing office did a ribbon cutting last week. It's got like 40-something employees. You don't necessarily have to go to college at 18 years old to make a good living. They will train you. Go to Advanced Coating, which is Lockheed Martin, Amanda Dana, right, in Walk Hill. 10 factories producing in Walk Hill. They want kids 18 years old, no training. We'll send you to college. They send people to get PhDs. That's how much stuff they're doing there. So we're big with the college. I've been doing my college graduation speech, but there's some great avenues in the trades. Amazon, open now, 1,000 new employees, $85 million investment. Choice Films, this is sexy. This is the former Anthony's Pier 9 site. It's going to be producing big movies and bringing in big money. I'm going to tell you why we care about it. $19 million investment. Grant Street Properties, another great project the legislature and I worked on, and everybody worked on this. This thing was a very high maintenance baby here. But when this is done, this is probably the best opportunity the city of Newburgh's seen in probably 30, 40 years. 80 room, and this is a guy that's done this before. This is not somebody with just an idea out of the sky. This guy knows what he's doing. And it's going to be a perfect marriage with Orange County Community College, with the hospitality. You can have students working right here, right across the street. So I think you got a great opportunity here. Green Thumb over in Warwick at the former correction facility, 180 jobs, almost 500,000 square foot, under construction now. And then wine shipping, which is great. It's in Wayweyond. It's at the former Medline, very high-tech building, 90 jobs, and they're going to fill that warehouse that was just recently vacated. It's going to be great. Under construction, Resorts World, another transformational, interesting project in the Newburgh Mall. Restaurants are already being under construction, planning to be opened around it because of what they're bringing there. I'm not a gambler, not a good gambler, but I'm definitely going to check it out a few times. Walgreens Micro-Fulfillment Center, what the hell does that mean? Well, it is going to be a massive, not only logistical site, and you're going to have logisticians working in there, but you're going to also have pharmacists working in there with real jobs. So you're going to have a wide spectrum. It's not just the one that a lot of people are critical, just another warehouse with basic jobs. There's going to be a wide spectrum. They're going to be opening up in $24 million investment, and they're supposed to be opening 22s now, right? So yeah, okay, good. Royal Wine, I'm just going clockwise. This is a former Kicker Frosch for anybody, old timers like me in here. It's supposed to be a Greek beer company, never happened. But Royal Wine is legitimate. I think it's the biggest producer of kosher wine in the country. They've relocated now to the town of Goshen. It's under construction right now. I drove by it today. It's going to open in 23. And then Adams Fair, Acres Farms, one of the biggest family-owned supermarkets, the Hudson Valley family in the town of Walk Hill, another great thing. New hotels, we got 3,500 rooms now. We're going to be adding another 160 with 4 boutique and the regular hotels that are under construction. 15 hotels in planning with another 1,300 coming. Camp LaGuardia, this is going to be the interesting one today. So in the past, we had a massive housing development being proposed. That didn't go anywhere. Now we're looking at industrial warehousing. We're not sure. We've had a lot of tabletops on this. So all the department heads that are involved in this, our new county attorney, Rick Golden, who'd had familiar with this property from the private sector, planning, parks, DPW, real property, you name it, all working on this. There's a lot of challenges with getting approvals here. Sewer, water. It's a challenging site for all those approvals. So what do we want? What can we possibly propose in addition to this? A county park. We haven't done a county park at Thomas Bull size in decades, probably since before I was born. The bottom line is the Heritage Trail existing. Am I right, Sorensen? The V that's going that way is the new proposed Schwangang line, correct? Okay. I didn't want to hit the pointer here. If you see it. So here's the Heritage Trail. Here's the site. Here's the black dirt part of it. And here is what's being proposed as another 10 miles of Heritage Trail. We're going to get to that in a second. Now, I put these people supporting it just because we've gone through the nightmare of looking through the approvals, and it's a lot harder than we think. I saw the 3 proposals. I'm looking at millions of dollars too, but we also have a 400,000 person population. We're growing. We don't have, I use Thomas Bull. I love it. It's great. Sally's Dream. All my kids have been there. But this could be another park. You can never have too much of it. So this Heritage Trail will go right through the middle of it rather than into an industrial park. So people can actually ride bikes. You can have all sorts. This concept right here is from the Orange County Planning Office and the Orange County Parks Office that I just had. Just give us some visual what the heck we're looking at here. The black dirt area, if we wanted to revert back to farming, has not been farmed in 15 years, which means it's automatically organic. You haven't used pesticides on it. So that is another project. And the next steps, by the way, for this is we need to talk about this, see where the majority of the legislature is on this, and then we hire a consultant that does literally parks for a living, not a planner that builds skyscrapers, a planner that does parks for a living, and have him or her or that firm come up with a concept to see if that's something we can do or if we can live with. We can use ARPA money for this, right? ARPA money is being borrowed on our grandkids' money, right? So rather than give gimmicks away like other counties are, let's give $500 out to the first 1,000 people that sign up on this, which is happening. It's a joke. Why not build a park that'll be here for those grandkids to use? Here's some upcoming projects which are also very exciting. Angry Orchard, big, successful. Storm King Art Center, one of our top 5 biggest tourist attractions. Limoncello, Italian restaurant down in Goshen, beautiful, historic. Did a major expansion, restaurant looks great. They're doing a posh hotel on top of it. They replaced Section 8 housing on top of it with a posh hotel to complement Legoland and bring in revenue. Finding Homes Farm, another successful venue. 88 Charles Street in County Legislator Brescia's district, a wonderful restaurant. Looking forward to seeing it remodeled. They have a meeting next week with all the supervisors. New Craft Breweries, 5 more to add to our arsenal. 29 at the end of the day. The bottom right or the far right 2 are my 2 favorite ones. Just happen to be there. Film, and I'm wrapping up. Don't worry. Sorry, guys. Film industry in Orange County. Here's White House Plumbers, Woody Harrelson, Poker Face, 3 Hallmark films shot here. One of Ed McGreed is a huge Hallmark film guy. And Netflix is doing one at the Storm King Arts Center. And we had 9 scouts in the last 24 hours look for sites in Orange County. Why do we care? Why do you even care about this? Why do I care about this, besides Ed? Stagecoach Inn. We were honored to host Hallmark movie again, and we were well compensated. It was a great experience, and we would gladly host the production again. Cromwell Manor Historic Inn. We were thrilled to host HGTV Kickstart headquarters in our inn. The crew spent 2 months in our town supporting our local businesses and getting to know everybody. And Callahan and Nanini, another big Orange County family, great family. Our quarry has been home to a variety of productions, from exploding cars to hovering Black Hawk helicopters. Each one brought revenue to the area, and we enjoyed welcoming here. Last bullet. When they come to towns, villages, and cities, there's a lot of paperwork involved. If you hire your local town police, how do you get them reimbursed? What's the permits for food? What's the permits for all these crazy things like having a Black Hawk helicopter fly over your city or village? All these things. This film office is streamlining with the local towns to give you an easy policy on how to move forward and make this really streamlined. Heritage Trail expansion. A few weeks ago, we just cut the ribbon on this. 2014, the trail was 10 miles. We're now at 19.5, extended another mile from Palmer Avenue in the city of Middletown to East Main. And then the next phase is 2.5 miles from East Main all the way to Ingracia Road in Walk Hill. 500,000 people use this trail a year. I used it about an hour and a half ago. So we're doing more, right? Scunny Monk Trail, I referred to that earlier. It cuts right through the heart of Camp LaGuardia, 2 avenues. So 9.8 miles, spans from Chester to the Moon Trestle in Salisbury Mills. Will be utilized by commuters, cyclists, visitors, and pedestrians, just like the Heritage Trail is today. We'll connect the Heritage Trail, making it 29 miles. The funding is $14 million of federal money, which is great. $1.8 million from Orange County taxpayers, $1.8 million from New York State. It should be completed in 3 years. We should be proud of this. So we're also investing in open space. We budgeted $1 million last year. We also budgeted an additional $1 million if we need that for this year. And by the way, we have big projects coming up. We restored $100,000 in funding for the Orange County Land Trust, which helps them close on property purchases. So I put this out in the budget because we had to get this approved. We had to articulate why we need these partners. But you need the Orange County Land Trust and open space. They help us identify key pieces of vulnerable property that why we should buy them before they get developed. Orange County government, front and center. And local governments, you need the local town to be supportive of this. And then, of course, property owners. Property owners have to be willing to be partners to sell to us, sometimes at a lower fee, in order to protect what they've lived on or owned for so long. Real Property Office has been front and center with the legislature, pulling pieces of property, even from our tax sales, to make sure we protect them for the future. I think this is our last slide, so deep breath. So last week, graduations. All the drama in the world. We should be super proud. I see Dr. Young in the crowd, our president of SUNY Orange. Super proud of the 1,000+ graduates of Orange County Community College last week, Mount St. Mary on Saturday, West Point on Saturday. Look at these rates. 88% of SUNY Orange residents at least stay in New York State. Many of them stay in Orange County. 100% employment program for the diagnostic imaging and physical therapist assistant programs. 88% employment for nursing grads. The other 12% probably stay home or want to do something else because everybody's calling for nurses right now. Since 2017, Orange has generated an average of 201 health and human services graduates per year. We know this. It's one of the flagship programs of why SUNY Orange is so good. And then the last kid on the right is Noah Daigle from Warwick, who went to Warwick Public School. We helped him get into West Point and write applications. Jim Brooks is friendly with their family. He graduated on Saturday, and instead of having the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff swear him in, he asked me to do it, which I was honored to do. Great kid, great family. And that's what we should be proud of. So thank you for everybody's support. I am grateful for a lot of things. I am grateful for an awesome family that I have. I am grateful for a very good county with great employees and department heads. I'm grateful for the legislature for backing me up. I've been deployed 4 times in the last 12 years. And not everybody gets the support that I do, so I appreciate that. And that's what makes us successful. If you look at what's going on in Washington and some of the headaches that Mike Martucci has, and you look at the inability to get stuff done in Washington, if you looked and take a page, we're not perfect, we bicker, we fight, but we get things done. And you should be proud of it. So thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for supporting Orange County. Appreciate it.